Good afternoon, gentlemen. Who would you have induct Paul Heyman into the Hall of Fame? Dom, since you happen to work with an ECW legend, who comes top of mind to you as someone you would want to see induct Heyman?
I mean, I would really like to see RVD. I think he encapsulates what ECW was and really was the big star that came out of that all. And I know Rob, even off the top of his head, he could come up with something great that's really stand out and special for somebody like Paul Heyman. Another name, I don't want to cover everybody, but like Tommy Dreamer obviously feels like a good one too, who shows a lot of that passion and care for ECW and everything. So those would be my top two picks, I think, Robert.
Tommy would be fun, but the problem is the Hall of Fame can only last for one day, and his speech would go at least 3. I think knowing where WWE is right now in a world where Brock Lesnar does not exist and where you do not want Roman Reigns talking in front of that audience, I think the most interesting person is CM Punk. Punk was the quintessential Paul Heyman guy. Punk was in OVW working under Paul Heyman when I was there, and we were seeing that maturation of what Punk was able to do. Clearly, Heyman helped guide his career. It's also interesting because you're further teasing that whole idea of where does Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman lie in terms of their allegiances. The Hall of Fame has become a little more storyline-ish. I don't love that, but I get it. And I think if Paul is willing to accept being inducted in the Hall of Fame, he's going to make the most of that moment. And I think CM Punk on that stage while he's injured, you can hype the hell at him, sell some tickets. That's standing room only in the back. People are going to want to see that.
What do you think about Steve Austin?
Austin's another interesting one because Steve Austin, in a parallel universe, if Bill Watts and all those geniuses that were running WCW at various points in time, pizza executives and whatnot, Mr. Jim Hurd, but if they would have seen what they had with the Dangerous Alliance, where you had Paul Heyman and Rick Rude, and Medusa was obviously in there, Arn Anderson, ad-free shows, compatriot. And if Heyman had the ability to have the input on creative, I think they would have been able to strap the rocket to Steve Austin and figure out that formula. So I think Austin and Heyman were a hell of a pair then. Steve Austin getting that platform in ECW for that short window of time and showing that he can talk, he can be raw, no pun intended, about what his characterization is, and show that he does have a real personality. Steve would be a really fascinating one because they do sometimes tease that idea of, yes, Steve was part of ECW. We saw that at the first One Night Stand.
Yeah.
I'll be curious because we don't know who else is going to be inducted into the Hall.